Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending B2B e-commerce made easy webinar with FocusPoint and SAP Business One. We're going to have three presenters today. Our first presenter today is CEO of Third Way Business Systems, Corey Lind. Our second presenter will be Craig Stockmull, founder and CEO of Focused Impressions. And Charles Robinson will be doing most of the presentation surrounding the actual technology and showing you how easy it is to do B2B. I'm your moderator. My name is Tyson McMurran. Should you have any questions throughout the presentation, please put them into the chat area. I'll be monitoring the chat and I'll moderate the questions at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, we are 1 minute past the hour, so I'm going to turn this over to Corey Lind, CEO of Third Wave, to start the presentation.
Thank you, Tyson. Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We wanted to hold this presentation and webinar because we are seeing a lot of our Business One customers turning towards better solutions for their B2B and B2C e-commerce that they've, especially in this time of the COVID pandemic. So a couple of the key ideas we want to impart on you today is the fact that COVID has definitely accelerated the shift to e-commerce, especially in the areas of B2B. What we're seeing within our customer base and the customers of ours that are using Business One and have also partnered with Focused Impressions for their e-commerce solution is they're seeing that their business, and not only their online business, their business and revenue overall is growing actually over the last 6 or 9 months, even with the pandemic in place. And that having an e-commerce system that comes ready out of the box with an adaptable integration into Business One has been a huge jumpstart into their online sales. The agenda for today, as we go through this, and I'm going to turn it over to Craig Stockmull in a minute here after we talk about this, but it's going to be basically a snapshot of what FocusPoint, which is Focused Impressions e-commerce platform, is capable of doing for you, and how it handles B2B e-commerce and B2B e-marketing. While it is both a solution for B2B and B2C, the area that we find most of our customers struggling with is finding a very good solution for B2B e-commerce, because B2B is specialized and very different than a B2C scenario, and some of the tools that they've tried to turn to, such as Shopify and BigCommerce, really just don't bring the right B2B e-commerce capabilities to the table for them. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the success stories of the customers that have used Focus or are using Focused Impressions, and how they've seen their businesses change and grow based on having the right B2B platform in place. Charles is going to present and give a demo of the solution so you can get to take a look at it, and then we're going to wrap up with any questions and hopefully answers we can provide for you. On that note, Craig, I think I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about FocusPoint, Focused Impressions.
Thank you, Corey. Honored to be part of this and also be partnered with Third Wave in going to market with FocusPoint. FocusPoint is a very robust e-commerce platform that's both B2B and B2C. Where it's a little bit different is that we focused exclusively on the Business One global marketplace, and we've integrated exclusively with SAP Business One, and we've utilized SAP tools to develop that integration. So what that does for customers is it provides a lowest cost, deepest integration available in the marketplace. And the platform supports all versions of SAP. It also supports creation of web stores and portals very quickly in a self-service mode. And most people who invest in SAP Business One have customized SAP to their business and configured it to their business. So what we've done, because we've exclusively integrated with SAP, is we've developed an integration tool, a configurator, that allows the e-commerce platform to handle any UDO or UDF that you've created in your Business One environment. I'm going to turn it over to Charles, who's going to give you a little bit of an overview of both aspects of both B2B and B2C, and be able to answer any questions you have at the end of this session. Thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you, Craig. It's nice to chat with everybody today. Okay, so we're going to mainly focus on some B2B capabilities, but I do want to spend some time just contrasting the B2C or direct to consumer versus selling to a business. There's a lot of differentiators here. So in the B2C market, just think of something you're buying on demand right now, one time, usually off think of like Amazon, right? So, you know, your authorized and capture of your credit card is all happening at once. Your shipping is being calculated all at once. Your time to search is very quick. You generally want to jump on to a B2C site, have a very advanced, robust search, perhaps misspelled words, odd phrases, and be able to get to that product in 10 to 15 seconds. And you want to be able to support multiple channels through a good B2C site. Things like Facebook integration, different kinds of social media integration are really, really important. So we have all those aspects, but that's not enough to get a truly good B2B experience. So where FocusPoint elevates the game is around adding ways to bulk order, find products in a different way than a B2C traditionally does. So that can be any range from looking at your previous orders, order history, having our analytics engine try to determine what the new promotions are going to be for a particular business partner, any online sales, basically, if you put something on special pricing in SAP, have that really draw your business attention so they can see that. And of course, support all types of pricing flavors without any hassle in SAP, including those discounts, volume discounts, and those kind of things, blanket agreements. Basically, you want to get past the point where you're worried about, will whatever I do in SAP and its complexity translate into FocusPoint, because it will. And the idea here is that you create a B2C enhanced experience for your B2B folks here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to slide in to show you a few things, and I'm going to resume the PowerPoint here. One second. There we go. I'm just going to jump over to a sample of what FocusPoint looks like. This is a particular customer here. This is a B2B platform with some B2C elements. At a quick glance, I can see some key ingredients from a B2C site on this B2B portal. For example, the site search. It's first and foremost as soon as they come to the portal. I do have options to direct a business partner to a specific location, but if I want to just land them on the general page, I can do that. This is good because you might have just general updates for your business buyers here. We have COVID-19 updates, for example. And it's very simple to organize a contact from SAP here. So this particular contact belongs to multiple business partners. So they are a buyer for two different business partners. And FocusPoint gives you the ability to have multiple carts. This particular contact on Funtown RV Rockwell has 2 items in their shopping cart, but I can switch over to another business partner and I have all the price sheets for this business partner now loaded in context. I can build a separate cart or order, and then I can flip back when I'm done. And it'll resume, still have my 2 components in here. Everything that you see is driven through a security filter, right? So the products, the pricing, everything is just done in SAP B1, and almost no management actually takes place on FocusPoint. We're after simplicity here, right? We don't want to have anybody doing data in 2 spots, and this again can streamline your business. Okay, so I'm just going to flip over to another way to order. So this is also on RAM here. So this is an order sheet. So we look at traditional ways of ordering from B2C, jumping to a product page. And this particular way is to have an order sheet and show very key information just in time. So with all inventory and stock items synced with FocusPoint, I can see exactly how many are in stock if I want, or I can just say in stock, or not even mention the stock if I take back orders. I can see if I need to order a product in multiples of X. For example, the folks selling wine may want to sell by the bottle and or by the case. And here I can mix and match inventory and sales unit of measures. So I can sell things by the pack or by each. And the system is smart enough to know which one SAP is accepting on a sales order and convert them back before the order is written. So these type of sheets are very convenient for a bulk buyer or someone who buys frequently. Another good experience here for the B2B user is to give them access to their entire order history. All right, so when I come here, this is nothing to do with necessarily what's sold on the web per se. This is all what's in actually SAP. The nice thing here is it gives you a chance to look back to the very start of time. So when you go live with FocusPoint, there is no data migration, right? So FocusPoint can look right into SAP and look at the hundreds of thousands or however number of orders or invoices that you have without any data migration, right? So as soon as the switch goes on, I have full access, so I can see everything that this business partner, or not to get too technical, but consolidated business partners and those kind of things, I have full access. If there were any crystal reports or any pretty print reports that were done, I have access to download them here, and I have access to all the order lines that were done here. This is a great way to order by history. So from here, I can see the previous quantities that I might have ordered before. I can order 50, in this case 100, and of course you can order numbers in between. It's just trying to make things a little easier. The idea is that this, because it's a snapshot of all SAP, this can really help your customer service quite a bit. Invoices, same idea. So I have full access to all the invoice objects in SAP. I can see that this particular one has an outstanding balance of $330. So what I can do here is look at some details of this, and then I can have the option to pay online. Now, this is not necessarily for everyone. It depends on how you're structured and those kind of things, but if you do have a payment gateway, you can absolutely click the Pay Now button, and you can accept this payment online. This will go through automatically into SAP and close out that invoice, mark it as paid. There's other objects here. We have deliveries, quotes, returns, and credit notes. These are all very useful objects that people tend to frequently need to have access to. So these are kind of our top 6 entities, but it's not really restricted to that. Search filters above, from and to dates. And oftentimes you are trying to find things from the past, but you only have some of the information. You may have a document number, you might have a SKU, perhaps, or a purchase order you're just trying to find. All of these items work basically on partial searches. So I can look back with just partial information and filter that out. While I'm on the topic here, I see some outstanding balances and those kind of things. The system is able to handle payment by terms, or perhaps just send an invoice if the credit is in good standing. So the business partner credit information is shared with FocusPoint. So you can choose if a business partner can be allowed to, say, pay with a PO, or they're in a state where they have to pay by some kind of credit card or those kind of things. Just want to show you a variation because FocusPoint is multilingual, multi-currency. So this is an example here of someone in Europe. So we support all basically date and formats, language, currency that SAP supports. All right, so as well, you can have multiple SAP backend databases. Here's an example where there's a download link available. So I can see the actual pixel perfect report done in Crystal Report, and it's now available through the portal. Oftentimes as well, you want to create an experience for your business partner that isn't necessarily landing them right on a web page like this or like a main portal, but you want to create an experience for them that's somewhat branded to them. This is the back end of FocusPoint. So anytime you see this kind of darker left-hand column with the blue at the top, this is the back end of FocusPoint. What this is doing is it's creating a microsite, as we call it, that allows for brand override. So I can give my portal a quick name, I can have a description, and I can supply logos and banners that will basically create a nice experience that's branded, again, just for this business partner. There's different things like sales rep, owners of the site, And these can be synced, of course, when the sales order is right into SAP. You can even do target ranges for start and end of the time that this particular page is available. And there's lots of security options. So again, I mentioned that all the content is filtered through security, but that's the case with everything: products, pricing, even the availability of a microsite such as this. So if I want to limit this to specific users or a specific business partner, it's just a matter of me ticking off some boxes here, and I can do just that. Now, FocusPoint supports multiple stores. So this is where you get into, www.company1.com and then maybe www.company2.com, and you're basically having multiple websites, and it's coming from one SAP databases or more than one SAP database. This is basically a way to actually control, which products are being seen. SEO is very important. So we have all the metadata, meta keywords, and meta descriptions here that can be set up. And of course, the product collection that is going to be available for the particular audience. So what happens now, I can view this. And when I first open it up, notice that the site does not open fully, right? Because it's a shrunk down screen. So I'm able to get a specific menu that looks great on any real estate. And then as soon as I pop it up, I can get a full site menu here. Notice the gold aesthetics here is now the main logo. I have my branding. And then from here, I have all my product line available. So I can click into any of these particular products. And this is where complex ordering really comes into play. So in this particular example here, the idea is that you're ordering many things all at the same time. So we have order grids, and I'll show you the contrast here so I can get very advanced with how I can take orders. So I can order a size 4 in this pair of slippers and order size 7. And in this case, we get heavy into personal branding here, so I can even get a little fancy and have some markup done. And all this type of content is all available to place right on the product details page. And the very interesting thing here is, again, this all comes from SAP. Our user-defined object that we have, which we call the eCommerce profile in SAP, allows HTML5 markup to come from SAP right into FocusPoint. So this raw information is not even touched on the FocusPoint backend. This, again, is all sourced out of SAP. We have, in addition to that, I'm just going to go back here. We have a very advanced means to create and manipulate products. You'll notice that lately, even in the B2B landscape, 360-degree view are getting very important and popular, especially in like part sites, so you can spin the parts around. So we support all types of advanced vector graphics that allow you to manipulate the images itself, even though it's a B2B, and get full kind of panoramic views. These type of little niche pieces are becoming more differentiators in a more competitive landscape in B2B. Just coming back right now, I just wanted to show and wrap up the B2C side here. Of course, you have your traditional web menu where I can click in and do as my traditional shopping. So these web categories are all loaded into SAP from FocusPoint. And then you can just do simple associations from within our SAP panel. So this avoids any type of conflict with any internal SAP item groups that are already established. Odds are the way you present products to an end user from the web is probably not the same way that you would have it set up with your item groups and internal categories inside SAP. So from here, I can jump in and look at this particular cutoff wheel. And I can see all the relevant information here. Again, 100% sourced in SAP. I can see multiple units of measure here, if that's applicable. And we have messaging as well. So if I do try to order 51, these rules, again, are all enforced out of SAP. It's going to tell me, and it's going to move this now to 100. The goal here, of course, is to make this as easy as possible, provide multiple options for the user to basically select the easiest buying profile that they want. There are others available as well. So we have those folks out there that, you know, definitely work off the barcode scans and those kind of things that definitely is out there. So we have these web screens that are built basically for that. So inside here, I can have a barcode listener and it'll immediately search for SKUs. I'll just manually type one in here just to show. And that's basically it. So with a barcode gun, I can do that very easily. Okay, and I can keep building this out. We still have a web presentation way to do it, just if somebody is on like a tablet or something like that, and they want to make touch points or changes or those kind of things. Just going to flip back to the PowerPoint here for a moment. And I'll play this from current slide. So the again, the integration piece, we only integrate with SAP B1 for a couple of very specific reasons. So the integration has to be able to support user-defined objects, windows, and fields without getting into what we call customization. So you've already kind of customized your SAP experience, but the way SAP does its user-defined fields is not the same way that Microsoft does theirs, or Oracle does theirs, or Sage, or what have you. So in order to build an engine that can remove the customization and turn this into a configuration exercise, we had to basically be specific on which ERP we chose. And for many, many good reasons, SAP B1 is that primary choice. So this configurable integration allows you, I'm just going to jump back. I'm just going to finish the impersonation. I'm back in the back end of FocusPoint. So what this does is it allows me to specify all my custom fields. So out of the box, orders, invoices, contacts, business partners, inventory, items are already fully accepted. And what you can do now is manage the differences. So in a project implementation, what this comes down to is what are you doing with your custom data? So it's very, very simple. We have an SAP field name. This ends up being what we call your user-defined field name in SAP. There's a corresponding FocusPoint name, an entity name, and a direction, and then we get into these formulas. Just to show you what the pop-up screen is, so you don't think it's too crazy here. So this would be my field name I'd fill out, my entity name, so it could be a product, which is the equivalent of an item in SAP. Could be a serialized item if it's a piece of equipment, because we definitely support that. Business partners, all types of things are here to be supported and go in each direction. So it goes in and out. And then we have formulas. So in this particular example here, we have a sync key. SAP basically exchanges addresses for shipping here. So if I choose an address that is not in SAP as part of that business partner, I can easily create a rule, simple as this formula, to flag that into the comments of my SAP sales order. Or perhaps I want to stick the initials PA, has something to do with accounting, when I use my authorized.net. Very simple procedure like this. And then there is an exact duplicate of this screen in SAP working the other way, taking user-defined fields and objects from SAP and sending them to FocusPoint with its own formulas, right? So basically, this is how the two systems can talk easily, and no code is necessary to be involved. So the customer's buying experience, I took you through several examples that really showcased multiple ways to buy. The traditional B2C is always going to be popular, and you're going to have your B2B users still want that and desire that. But we have to have ways where they already know what they want, or they're ordering off something previous, and those kind of things, to just have quick access to it, or even like the microsite like I showed you with the slippers, to be able to just create a unique URL and drop them right there where all their products are waiting for them. Now, growing online sales. So analytics, such as Google Analytics and just analytics around the kind of current state of your site, is very, very important. But we go further than that. So we have options now where we're talking now, sending data sets into Power BI. So true dimensional reporting. So this lets you take, say, a couple years worth of data and try to correlate trends. So there's predictive analytics models that are available. This allows you to stop looking, say, day to day, or how many mobile users are on my screen, or how many, what's my fastest selling product. You're able to kind of correlate trends from that. Third-party integrations, we integrate with all kinds of CRMs. We understand that FocusPoint, its number one goal is to collect orders online. That's it, right? That's its number one purpose. Everything else needs to be able to integrate. So we have integrations to popular CRMs such as Zoho, Salesforce, HubSpot, Dynamics CRM, and of course, social media is huge and will continue to be huge. So, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, not just those individual ones, but also the aggregators of them. So the Hootsuites of the world, these packages that are basically created, they aggregate all your social media campaigns. Facebook Pixel is a very popular one. You can run your ads, and this is increasingly more important for B2B competitiveness to be able to have these kind of capabilities. Email marketing, SMS, again, all these kind of tie-ins. There's a lot of great ones out there. MailChimp, Sendinblue, have to be able to also integrate with all those. This whole thing has to work in basically a cohesive ecosystem to make this work properly. So your e-commerce and your marketing with all these integrations now can start basically talking all the same language. So even if I have my abandoned cart reports or those kind of things, I can instantly create a contact list in FocusPoint and then do an SMS campaign. If these are customers who have registered, say, with a phone number, it's just an email, then I can use my email provider. And it allows you to kind of target and then retarget those type of people. So with all that understanding, let's talk implementation. Okay, so FocusPoint, it's basically an enterprise-grade B2B, B2C platform. Maybe I have Shopify, maybe I have Magento, Sonic, eCommerce, and I want to upgrade to this platform, right? So how long does that actually take? Our average takes anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. This can vary depending on the type of industry that somebody is in. So for example, if you're in the apparel industry, where you have what we call parent-child SKUs, so you have multiple colors, multiple sizes, multiple options, those kind of things, where the data is very intense, they take more like 8 weeks. If you're more into machinery and parts, where it's more simple parts to a model, they take a little shorter, right? Because they're more one-to-one or a parts associated to one or more models, but the master data is just a little more simple. So they can go a little faster. But that is basically the average, and we have really a great track record to making sure that we deliver on time. So let's talk a little bit about customer success stories here. Craig, am I doing this, or did you want to say a few things about iSlide? So I'll pick right up here. So iSlide, I showed you the slider. I showed you the customizer component that allows us to spin and add graphics to these sliders. These guys have a very interesting backstory. They're based out of Boston. They have a huge amount of revenue they've been able to pick up just through bulk orders. So their B2C site, which we handle, is iSlide USA, and that sells basically these sliders that are branded for different sports apparel and those kind of things. That was kind of going on like one order. When they got into the whole school and team component, everything kind of exploded. So the bulk site, as we call it, which is the site that I showed you where I ordered that pink slider and then I had all my grid, this kind of model has sent them huge revenue. So their production system and their processes have adapted now to actually meet the demand. So this is one of those cases where they had the power, the capability on their plant floor to produce X. They came up with this B2B site and then suddenly challenged the business to basically improve because the volume of orders were suddenly just skyrocketing because of this bulk order capability. So that's, of course, a great problem to have. So this is a quick snap before FocusPoint and then after FocusPoint. Key here is automation, and it doesn't just apply to iSlide, it applies basically to all kinds of businesses, right? So we're taking a lot of manual components. Those manual components can be simply double entry, right? Or there's, I have Shopify, Magento, whatever, and I can't get everything integrated to SAP, so I have some of my CMS here, and I got some of my master data, but my PIM, or my product information management system that tracks everything else that's going to Amazon, I manage that separately, and these kind of things basically. So FocusPoint for iSlide was a true kind of aggregator and an automation process that eliminated so much manual processing, right? So this is a time, normally, you talk about business capabilities, and it's people, process, and technology is usually what we look at. This is the case where FocusPoint on the technology sides forces process improvement, basically. So someone, it can be a great disruptor for a company and reduce a lot of waste. This is just a quick snapshot of what the actual website looks like. They've also improved their invoicing and their time of shipping. So being able to basically capture credit cards at the time of shipping, similar to those Amazon models. This is a model that they've moved to. The art templates is very important to them. So to be able to have those like Boston Celtics, predefined templates, but then allow variation to put your own name on across their logo and those kind of things. Right. So very, very, very advanced. They're doing excellent. So Torsion is kind of a corporate umbrella that owns several brands, right? So this is one that we've done fairly recently here. So they had multiple ERP systems, including SAP. They had a Yahoo store, an Amazon store, a 3D cart store, and everything was being managed manually. So it was kind of all over the place, a true spaghetti model. So with FocusPoint, I'm going to kind of reiterate the path here. FocusPoint talks directly to SAP and vice versa. So if you do have another web store, in this case it's 3D Cart, Yahoo, and Amazon, then it's easiest and best if FocusPoint brokers all web communication because it has to track all inventory. So imagine the scenario where you're stocking and selling with Amazon, Walmart, Costco, those kind of things. You have your own web store that you're also selling. Okay, and you have 100 items left in stock. As that inventory comes down, as soon as it say, you've committed to, 70 or whatever, and then an order on Amazon is just placed for 40, we have to intercept that and ensure that the right inventory is showing up at all times. So rather than have SAP do integrations to every single system, FocusPoint is already integrated into most of those third-party resellers, right? So we're doing inventory exchange, order fulfillment, all those type of things. Wayfair is also included in that list as well, right? So these folks had Yahoo, Amazon, and 3D Cart, and we were able to take this and basically put FocusPoint as its own store and maintain the integration and communication into the Yahoo store and into the 3D Cart store and into Amazon. And now all this flows one direction, basically. So all the orders from the outside systems, these other third-party sellers, all submit their orders now into FocusPoint, and then FocusPoint in its own store, North Shore Door it's called, it takes now all 4 sources, because it includes its own, and syncs those with SAP. And these folks do a tremendous amount of volume here. So we're talking in the magnitude of thousands of orders per day going into SAP. They've also been able to handle a lot of automation here. So as you can imagine, having that many kind of distinct systems, this presented a major problem, including alternate SKUs. The SKU in Yahoo is not the same SKU as in 3D Cart, and Amazon has its own SKU, all for the same part that's stored in their SAP database. So our PIM system, which is basically it's a native adapter within FocusPoint, it handles SKU mapping. So it can override pictures, descriptions, SKUs even, and then map them back into SAP on sales order entry. So this is pretty popular, especially with the third-party sales channels, because when it comes to Amazon and Costco, when you're reselling, they have criteria. They're very strict about how many letters and how long the description can be, because on Amazon.com and these other sites, they have so much space for description, and their pictures are supposed to be a certain size, and you have to have the weight information and all this kind of stuff. So FocusPoint can be a validation or a checkpoint to make sure all that is done. The other thing, of course, now with us pulling all these sales orders and everything else from these third-party systems, they were able to eliminate their third-party or those additional ERP systems finally, right? And do a real consolidation for all their businesses, because these businesses they bought basically. So these were part of acquisitions. So when you acquire a new company, you acquire, all the good and the bad. And sometimes the bad is another ERP system, right? So through this mechanism, they were able to take a lot of risk out of their business model and finally consolidate everything around SAP. Okay, so in this particular here, I kind of covered most of this. I'm going to show this site here in a moment. This is definitely modernized. The Yahoo site and some of these other pieces of technology are quite dated. So I'm just going to jump into that right now, show you this. Just going to start a new tab here. So this is the North Shore site. This is Action Industries, again, owned by the Torsion Group. So they, again, this is very similar look to RAM. All this data, again, sourced out of SAP, and they've been able to now standardize their language for all the products across all the sales channels, right, using our PIM. So we're able to see standard sales be able to be very verbose, very kind of a full explanation on this particular site. But when it goes to Amazon, it's all truncated just because they don't want any more than 2 paragraphs. Here's a great example of, merging YouTube and rich media right into that experience. And I'm just going to skip ahead here to the next phase here, just to show you off a couple websites here. This is another example using a totally different template. This is Nella Cutlery. These folks do a combination of B2C and B2B in the same platform. Actually, they have 5 sites. They use a lot of rich UI. So this is all possible on your site, all out of the box, right? And again, this is just a matter of picking a checkbox on how it looks on FocusPoint from SAP. Nothing you're seeing here has to be configured in FocusPoint. So all your skill matrix still remains in SAP. So here I can see a very kind of different looking menu. These folks, just by the nature of their business, they just have a very a large kind of 4-layer menu. I can see their other stores. Joe's. Oops, second tuning. There we go. So Krabby Joe's, this is another web store that has its own branding, its own menu, same SAP database, right? So this is a reseller basically. We can get very complex when it comes to discounts that happen outside SAP. And notice that the previous site and this site has embedded chat. There's basically no limit to the number of chat suppliers that can be supported. We can get very complicated into our mix and match, buy one, get one free, all these kind of things. So when you reach a point with the SAP pricing where you can't really say if they buy 10 of one product, they're going to get 30% off of any product that has this flavor or all these kind of things. This is where a FocusPoint can be of aid. So you can create any type of complex discount chain. Again, very important in the B2B, not just B2C. You can accomplish all of this within FocusPoint. So that's just a quick showcasing of some of the sites that we have, just as a quick look and feel here. Okay, so just to kind of closing thoughts, because we're going to move into the Q&A period here. You know, this has been a very busy year for us, and it's kind of been a gut check. So when Corey, you know, she started the session here, she talked about, you know, how COVID has accelerated some of these things. If you're kind of been thinking about doing a B2B commerce portal, and COVID's just kind of giving you a reason to kind of maybe think you need to do it a little sooner, you know, you're not alone. This is a great time right now to be thinking about this. You know, one thing I've learned this year is that, you know, who knows what the future holds, but I can tell you some of these things that have changed, the buying behaviors that we're seeing, just looking at the analytics that I'm looking at from our customer base, the buying behaviors have permanently changed. You know, even in a post-COVID world, things that were once bought in store will continue to be bought online and increase. So when you're looking for revenue streams, you've got to have basically an e-commerce platform that can grow with you. One of the key points to FocusPoint is, as we're only integrated to SAP B1, if you're on version 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 10.0, doesn't matter, we support them all. When you upgrade your ERP, you don't even have to think about upgrading your e-commerce platform, right? We do upgrades all the time, almost monthly, basically. It's a true SaaS offering. So you can upgrade your SAP environment without even thinking about, worrying about, oh, will my e-commerce, will FocusPoint be compatible? It definitely will. As long as you're on a supported SAP version, it is going to be compatible, right? So you can take a lot of risk out of that.